We're going to be going a step further in our learning. In class 1A and B, we learned the basic foundation of measurements, dimensions, and geometry. We also learned hand sewing. We're also able to see how to take measurement on a live model. And then we also did miniature sample of blouses. And so one of the miniature samples that we did in class 1B is what we're going to be doing here. That's the rectangular one that we folded. We're going to be actually making a real life sample without a sewing machine. Is really going to be interesting. And so we're going to apply all the things that we learned in class 1A and B and make an actual blouse that you can style and do yourself. Let's go on the cutting table and let's begin to cut. First off, we need to bring all our materials. First, the measurement tape, then your pinking scissors, that's zigzag scissors, then your hemming gum, your chalk to mark your fabric, and then your hand needle to do your hand stitching. That's the big needle. It's a big hand needle. Then you have your thread to do your sewing, and then you have your ruler to mark the areas that you need to mark, and then finally you have your fabric, and that's all we're going to be needing for this project. Now we're on the cutting table ready to cut our fabric. I have folded this fabric in two, from self edge to self edge. This is an Ankara fabric, so I folded the two self edges together. So you can see what I did right there. That's the center of the fabric, and I folded it in half. So I'm going to measure the length of the blouse from the top all the way to where I wanted to stop. So the length of my blouse is 27 inches. Now, how did I come about 27 inches? I used the measurement of my back half length plus 11. Here, I've already cut the length of the blouse, which is 27 inches. So I'm going to show you that now. So that's 27 inches for the length of my blouse, and that is my back half length measurement, which is 16 inches plus 11 inches. That's how I came about the blouse length. So in your own case, whatever the measurement is, just add 11 inches to your back half length. So I would have to cut two, because one would represent the front and another one would represent the back. I'm just showing you that I had to fold it in half, so you have to fold it into two so that it will be easy for you to manage. So I need to make a duplicate of this one so I can use it for the back. I need two, so I would cut another one that is the same length, which is 27 inches. So I now have two here. So remember, you have to cut with your zigzag scissors, that's your pinking scissors, so that it's neat at the edges. So right now we're just going to go onto the ironing table to finish up the neckline and the hem. We're now on the ironing table where we want to fold the edge. Yes, so that's the edge I'm going to fold, the longer part of the fabric that goes from one end to the other, that goes from one self edge to the other self edge. That's the same part I folded in the miniature paper. So I'm going to fold it with my pressing iron, just the way I folded it on the paper. That's going to serve as my neck area, or it could also serve as my hem. Remember, it's a rectangle, so I'm going to fold the longer part of that rectangle. Now this part I'm folding is not the self edge. I'm folding it because I want to insert my hemming gum. So I just take my hemming gum and insert it neatly into the portion that I have folded. Just be very careful and make sure the hemming gum is right inside the fold that you have ironed. So you just put that in very neatly, you cover it up, and then you iron it. Make sure the iron is steaming and hot so that the hemming gum melts so that the heat rather melts the hemming gum to your fabric, and then it stays, and then it becomes really neat on the neckline. So this thing that we have done now, we're going to do it for 4 parts, you know, because we have a rectangle and we have top and bottom. So we'll do it all over again for 4 parts. So now we have already ironed our 4 parts. So you can see the neck is now well finished and crisp, and it's the same thing on the other side too. At the base is well finished and crisp, and so we have one for the front and another one for the back. So I'm going to fold it in half so that I'm able to trim off the edge so that I can get the exact length of the width I want. So I'm folding it in half because I want to measure out the width of the blouse. Remember, the length of the blouse is 27 inches, which is 16 inches, which is my back half length, plus 11 inches. So now I need to get the width of the blouse. I'll need to trim off the self edge with my zigzag scissors when I measure out the width of this blouse. Now the width of this blouse is the shoulder measurement and the sleeve length. Remember, shoulder measurement is divided into 2. So my shoulder is 16, so I'll measure 8 inches. That's 16 divided by 2. After I measure 8 inches, then I'll measure the length of the sleeve, which is 12 inches for this particular blouse. It can be as long as you want or as short as you prefer, but I want to use 12 inches. So after I measure 8 inches and 12, I'll mark, and then I'll mark it all the way through. So I'll do the same thing on another area. So when you combine 8 inches and you combine 12 inches, you're going to get 20 inches. So that means the width of this blouse is 20 inches. So that means at the end of the day, you have 27 by 20. So you can see I'm using my ruler to actually define the line of the width of the blouse. After I have defined it, then I'll take my pinking scissors and cut it out. So now that is the width of the blouse. So I believe this is very, very clear and very simple for you to practice. So once I cut that out, I have my full rectangle. Remember, we have already done the neck. Is well finished. The hem is also well finished. The next thing we need to do now is to put the blouse together, the front and the back. So we are now ready to join these two rectangles together. We're going to join the front and the back. So this is the wrong side and this is the good side. So you're going to face the wrong side to the wrong side, and the good side of the fabric will be facing you. So you need to actually get the center of the rectangle. If you get the center of the rectangle, you'll be able to get your neck. So you can iron that part, but for me, I just used my hand to just press it down, but you can iron it so you can determine the center. When you have determined the center, it will be easy for you to know where to stitch for your shoulder. My shoulder measurement is 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I'm going to measure 7 inches instead of 8 inches. That's 1 inch less than the shoulder measurement, so that it sits right on my shoulder. That portion where I marked, I'm going to stitch it with my needle and thread. I've already passed my thread into my needle. I double the thread. It's not a single passing, it's a double thread, you know, because we're not using a sewing machine, so we need to make sure that our stitches are very strong. I'm using a big needle here. It's not a small needle. The needle that some hairdressers usually use in hair salons is what I'm using. So it's very strong, so I can tack that area for the shoulder. So that's where the neckline would be. So you can just do your knots like I taught you in the hand sewing and secure that sewing over there. You do it again and then you secure the sewing. So that's one part, that's one side. You cut it off. So remember, I measured 7 inches. Whatever the case is with you, you can measure. Then from the center again, you measure to the other side, another 7 inches. That's 1 inch subtracted from your shoulder measurement. You do the same thing. You tack it. You can knot the edge of your needle and thread just like I'm doing, and you tack it again. So that serves as your shoulder. So at the end of the day, the wideness of the neck would be 14 inches. That's 7 inches on the left and 7 inches on the right. And the reason why I'm doing that is because my shoulder measurement is 16. And if I divide that into 2, that would give me 8. 8 minus 1 is 7. And so I'll just knot that, and that will be done for that shoulder. After doing that, we can now see that our tacking has given us a space for the neckline. That's where the head will come through when you want to wear your blouse, and that's the effect of that tacking that we just did. The next thing we need to do is to actually get the shape for the body. To do that, we need to determine the center, just like we did. Once we determine the center, we're going to measure. We need to measure the body to get the shape for the body. So you measure from the top at the center. You measure 10 inches and mark. And at that same point you measure 10 inches, you take quarter of the bust measurement. My bust measurement is 40, so I'll take 10 inches. But after taking 10 inches, I need to add 1 inch extra, which is 11. And that is for ease. I need to add that ease so that it fits nicely. You do that on the other side. You take quarter of the bust measurement, that's 40 divided by 4, which is 10 plus 1. So remember that the bust circumference is divided by 4. So that's what I just applied here. And then you draw a nice shape like a curve. And the curve is like 10 inches. So if you measure from the beginning point and down to where the curve ends is about 10 inches. So you just draw a nice curve, 10 inches wide. You do the same thing on the other side. The the same point you measured your 10 inches. That's 10 inches from the center and then 10 inches to the side. Remember, for you, it's your bust measurements. It's your bust measurement divided by 4 plus 1. So that's what you're going to do. My bust measurement is 40. Divided by 4 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. So for whatever your bust measurement is, just do that and draw that nice curve. Just 10 inches long. That's from top to bottom. It's just about 10 inches in between. So now this line that we have drawn is what we are going to stitch. We're going to apply our simple running stitch on that line. That's what I'm about to do right now. So when you mark it, remember this side that is facing you is the good side of the fabric, not the wrong side. So you are stitching on the good side. So you start your running stitches. I've knotted the edge of my thread. So I'm just going to go in and out, just like I taught you in the hand sewing. I'll go in and out on that line, that curve that I just drew, and I'm going to run it all through to the end, and I'm going to do it on both sides. That's on the left and on the right. The curve that we just marked with the bust measurements, we'll do that on the other side also. So we do that all the way till the end, and after we do that, we would have actually finished our blouse. Note that when you are tacking to the end of the mark, not to the end of the blouse. You tack all the way through to the end of where you marked. The tacking doesn't get to the hem. It's just that mark, that curve that you did. You tack it to the end, and when you tack it to the end, you knot it, you secure it, and that will be the end. And then once we're done doing this, we'll go and try this on, and let's see how it looks on me. Voila! This is the blouse we just made without a sewing machine, with needle and thread. You can see I matched it very nicely with a burgundy palazzo pants, and the color is spotted on the blouse, and that's actually how you style your clothes. You actually style it very nicely, and see, that's the final result of the blouse we just made with your needle and thread without a sewing machine. Isn't this just amazing? Now go make yours. That's your assignment.